Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to go over something from the Secrets of the Sith book, which is canon. And one thing we're going to cover is something that I actually didn't know, and it's regarding Kylo Ren's lightsaber crystal. Now you guys remember when The Force Awakens came out and The Last Jedi and everything, we were always still trying to figure out why is it that Kylo's saber has this cool, spitting, fiery, angry, rageful effect. You know, is his kyber crystal broken? Is it an old design? Is it meant to be like this? Is it Luke's cracked crystal that he bled? There were so many different theories floating around, and they were pretty cool to think about, but we finally have an answer, and it's from Palpatine's point of view. So here we go. After abandoning his Jedi training, Kylo Ren embarked on a journey to discover his true nature. As a final step on his path to the dark side, he bled his lightsaber's kyber crystal, only to fracture it in the process. To harness the damaged crystal's full fury, Kylo Ren modified his weapon's hilt, adding Quillen emitters to emulate an ancient crossguard design once used by the Sith Lord Darth Atreus. The crystal's energy remains raw and unfocused, just like Kylo Ren himself. So a few things I want to talk about. First, I want to talk about Darth Atreus, but even before that, so actually really first, I want to talk about why the heck did Kylo Ren make his lightsaber crystal crack? I mean, Vader didn't make his crack when he was making it bleed from Kirak and Phila. So I'm wondering, what was it that Kylo possessed inside of him that made the crystal overbeared to the point where it actually cracked and it was just kind of spitting and volatile, which had a really cool lightsaber effect, I gotta say, but I'd really like to learn more about exactly what he did, or perhaps what he failed at doing properly in order to just make the crystal bleed. Because if you didn't know, the old Sith way of making your crystal bleed is that never existed. The old Sith way of having a Sith crystal was that you had to fabricate this crystal. This was a synthetic crystal. You would put it in a furnace and you would sit outside and you would meditate dark side emotions. Well, not really meditate, because Sith don't meditate, but you would pour dark side energy into the crystal as you sit outside of the furnace as it cooks and bakes, and you essentially do the inverse of what a Jedi meditation is, but no, Sith. So my question is, was Kylo maybe not fully committed to the dark side? Is that why it cracked and didn't bleed entirely? Perhaps it wasn't 100% bled, and it was maybe just like 80% or 90%, and that's why the crystal was having this hard time kind of undulating between being a bled crystal and still being his old blue one. But then that, begs the question, the crystal could have been actually maybe changing color, flickering, maybe a little bit of blue here and there, which actually would have been really cool to see. I would have loved to have seen that. Maybe the final bits of sparks off of it could have been a bluish hue, or have a little bit of like a sapphire ember going on. I think that would have looked really sweet, and it would have symbolized the fact that Kylo isn't fully committed to the dark side yet, symbolizing his pull to the light, whereas Anakin's was a pull to the darkness. I also want to talk about his attire that he has on. Obviously, this isn't his typical, Sith robes. Not even that he was a Sith, but his robes that we saw in The Force Awakens. These look more like his Jedi attire. It kind of looks more like Han Solo, if anything. And with the lightning coming out of his hands, was that lightning from the crystal bleeding or breaking, perhaps? Or was that lightning that he produced himself? So while I don't have an answer as to exactly what the reason is for Kylo's blade to be spitting like that, I mean, we know that it is cracked and that's perhaps the reason, but what made it crack in the first place is my question. Now, as for Darth Atreus, the reason his lightsaber spat with rage just like Kylo's was essentially that, because there was so much rage in the crystal. So I'm thinking perhaps, and they haven't explained this yet, at least to my knowledge, and if they have, and if you know about it, please let me know in the comments and correct me. But perhaps Kylo's rage was so much and he was so entranced with hatred in the dark side that it actually overbared. It was overbearing for the crystal itself, and it couldn't contain Kylo's rage. Now, if they're gonna say that, then it makes me wonder, does this mean that he had more rage than Vader? Does this mean he had more rage than Maul or Palpatine? I highly doubt it. But it does make you wonder, what was Kylo's potential at the end of the day here? If he was able to make a crystal do that and crack, what were the reasons for it? I hope we get an answer. Now, I'm researching more about Darth Atreus online, and it actually says that he had these two lightsabers that, when used, would elicit rageful emotions from the user, causing them to go into some crazy killing frenzy. This is kind of like Kylo Ren's power in Battlefront 2. Now, the sabers were later discovered by the smuggler Sana Staros, where one of the lightsabers was delivered to a crime lord who hired her and the other one was sold to Palpatine himself, but then later Luke and Vader destroyed the sabers, mainly due to their rage inducement abilities, so they just didn't want these sabers to be around because they were so dangerous, I suppose. It kind of reminds me of Splinter of the Mind's Eye in Alan Dean Foster's book, whom I interviewed. If you want to check out that interview on Rule of Two on my channel, you can search for it, Alan Dean Foster Rule of Two interview. Really nice guy. Anyways, in the book, which was supposed to be a direct sequel to A New Hope, and it was supposed to be a movie, but then it didn't happen, we got Empire Strikes Back. There was a crystal in that book, and Vader was on a hunt for this crystal, and apparently it magnified the Force users' powers 10 times, tenfold. And this was actually the only and first time that Vader used Force Lightning when he got a hold of that crystal. It made him unbelievably powerful, just 10 times more powerful in the Force, essentially, which if he had that, he probably could have just destroyed Palpatine. But then, of course, he got thrown down a well by Luke Skywalker, and the rest is history. You guys can read the book. So I like seeing that they mentioned Darth Atreus because maybe that means that they're bringing some legend stuff back to canon, because I guess now Darth Atreus is canon, which is kind of cool. So let me know what you guys think about Kylo and his crystal cracking. Why did it crack? And what was the true reason for his lightsaber blade to be spitting fire like that? Was it just like Darth Atreus, where he was fully induced with rage and allowed the user to harness all of their rageful emotions and their hatred? Or was it because he ruined the crystal because he wasn't fully entranced in the dark side just yet, or perhaps too far into the dark side? Let me know in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you did, and all this information is canon, so pick up the Secrets of the Sith book for yourself if you so wish, and I'll see you all in the next video on Star Wars Theory. Thank you for watching. Until then, remember, the Force will be with you, always.